Hey, my Liptons. So, this is going to seem like such a pivot to where I want to go on my channel, but I had to do a video on this. Okay? Let me just say this. Y'all, over the, cause listen, I took Monday off from work. I was like, you know what? It's a 3-day weekend for me. Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday. I was like, you know what? I watched House of the Dragon. I did my videos on that. And I don't know. I went on Netflix. I think this was like on Sunday. Yeah, Sunday evening or afternoon, sorry. I was on Netflix. I was like, you know what? I want something to watch. I want something to watch. And lately I've been watching My Wife and Kids, some of the episodes on that series. Yeah, I feel like I've been going to Netflix for like My Wife and Kids and previously I've been going for Blood of Zeus. But and listen, I already know y'all gonna be like, girl, you're so late. And yes, I am. I'm very late to the party when it comes to as far as like with the Bridgerton franchise, you know, and this whole thing. I'm behind. I'm behind on everything. Did I've heard of Bridgerton before? Yes. Did I hear of just the hype around it on social media for the past few years? Yes, most definitely I have. But I would say this. In the past, I was just like, you know what? I've seen a few clips, a few scenes of Bridgerton because it's like, people were talking about it and about certain couples on the show. And I was like, okay, let me try to see what the hype is about. Now, and I'm talking separately the original Bridgerton series, uh, just as far as like, I did not watch season one, Bridgerton. I just hopped onto season two because the two characters from season two, Anthony and Kate, were the talk of the town. When was it, like last year or something? So I was like, okay, let me see what's going on. And I didn't even finish. I did not finish season two. I think I got to the part where Kate and Anthony started to, you know, get sneaking around and being all close and lovey dovey with each other. And I think I'm at the wedding scene, and that's where I ended because at that point I don't know why I just tuned out after that. I don't know why, but I was like, I thought the couple were cute. I thought they were nice and adorable. But I left it at that. I wasn't really too attached to Kate and Anthony in season two of Bridgerton. So overall, Bridgerton has never really. I mean, it's okay for me so far from what I've seen at the time, but it wasn't technically like my cup of tea. Okay, I hope y'all understand what I'm talking about. So, okay, fast forward to Sunday, this past Sunday. I am on Netflix. And now Netflix, when you're scrolling through their thing, they now put previews on their streaming service. So I saw the preview of Queen Charlotte, where she's trying to climb the wall, and then that's where George comes behind her, and she's just trying to climb. She doesn't even know it's him. So I was like, this seems okay. This seems nice, and whatever. So I was like, even though personally for me, Bridgerton overall, before this series, Bridgerton overall, it gives corny, and it gives like, it gives corny Disney vibes, but then it also gives you that, okay, sexually explicit scenes and so forth. It gives, I guess, I don't know, it gives like one extreme to the other. It's like, it's corny, but then it gives you sexually explicit content. It's like all the way to the right or all the way to the left with Bridgerton. But when I saw that clip, that preview yesterday of, the Queen Charlotte thing where she's climbing the wall, I don't know what intuition, what drive, what motivation made me be like, you know what? Let me just watch this freaking series. And I did. So I started it off. I was like, okay, let me see what it's giving. And then, oh yeah, I forgot to say. Not only that, I also saw that Penelope and Colin were trending on Twitter, the characters from Bridgerton season 3. And I was like, okay, let me see what the hype is about. And I, also went into season 3. I still didn't finish it. I will say this, I kind of cheated. I'm not gonna lie, I cheated because I did see some YouTube clips. I wanted to. I wasn't gonna go. I don't. For some reason, I don't know what's preventing me from watching season 1 of Bridgerton, but I don't know what's preventing me from watching it. But I was like, girl, I'm not gonna go back to season 1. I'm just gonna jump to season 3 and see what the hype is about with Penelope and Colin. And then plus, I'm gonna go watch like maybe a YouTube compilation. And yeah, you YouTube people need to explain to me how their love story started. So I started off with season 3 as well with Penelope and Colin. And I was like, okay, they're cute, but I still wasn't hooked. You know what I mean? You gotta be hooked to the couple. You have to be hooked to the ship. You know what I mean? And even though I thought Kate and Anthony are cute, I thought that Penelope and Colin are really cute, but I wasn't like my spirit wasn't in it. You know what I mean? You gotta feel that. You gotta feel that when you're watching a series. Like that's how I feel about it when I see Boy Meets World with Sean and Angela. Like my spirit is in that ship. Like I love them together. Like that's how I feel about Klaus and Caroline from Vampire Diaries. Like it has me. It has me. And I don't know. Penelope and Colin, Kate and Anthony, it didn't gripple me in that way. So obviously when I saw the preview, I was like, okay, let me see what's giving, let's see what Queen Charlotte A. Bridgerton story is about. And y'all, they got me. They got me. When I tell you, I was hooked, line, and sinkered to my phone and my laptop, binging all 6 episodes of Charlotte, and I kept repeating certain scenes. I kept going back. I was like, okay, oh my God, this is so different. I kept going back to the first episode, kept going back to the third episode, I kept going back to. I was hooked to Charlotte. I was hooked to George. I was saying throughout this whole season, all 6 episodes, I was like, you know what? I want these two to be together. I want them to be together. I want them to be happy. And while I was watching the series, I was like, yo, I really hope this does not turn into an unhappy marriage, because like they need to work this. I was like, and mind you, this is from like the first episode. Like from the first episode, y'all, I was like, they need I want them to be together. I want them to be happy. I want them to have many children. This was in the first episode. I was hooked to this couple. Okay. I was here for it. I was here for it. I was here for it. It's just, it was pleasing me. It was pleasing me. And clearly it was pleasing Charlotte. Because, woo, child. And obviously I'm going to talk spoilers. If I didn't watch the thing, I didn't watch the show, go watch it. So obviously this series is a prequel to Bridgerton. And to me, I was like, okay, like, let's see what it's giving. Now, I will say this though, before I continue. There are some scenes I was kind of skipping. Like, it's just, for me, I thought that obviously the main characters were Charlotte and George, and I mostly wanted to focus on their life, what they're going through, their trials, their tribulations, their triumphants. I wanted to see what they were going through. So quite frankly, I'm not going to lie to y'all. I wasn't really too much caring about Lady Danbury. I wasn't caring about what she was going through. Just that, like, for me, George's situation and what he was going through was enough for me to be tuned and for me to have that sense of urgency to continue to finish the series. Okay? They're done. Y'all, okay, let's just get to the spoilers. when we begin the episode, of course, Charlotte is, it's an arranged marriage. Her brother arranged the marriage. Charlotte's from Germany. She has some more blood in her, Moors, for them to say that she has some black in her. She's mixed, basically. I don't know, biracial. I don't know, something. So, and they, and oh God, George's mom. I mean, and I'm going to talk about their dynamic a little bit later. But she was okay, even though like she did say that there was obviously some sprinkles, I would say, of like colorism in the show. When it comes to obviously the mother's end of it, obviously racism, but also there's also colorism on George's mother's end. Um, there was that. Obviously, I'm also going to talk about these two kings and queensmen here, and what was going on there. But they arranged the marriage. Charlotte is not feeling it because, first of all, she don't. What woman wants to get married to someone that she doesn't know? That's number one. Number two, when she was asking around, how, because she's never seen the king, she's never had a conversation with him. She was asking her queensmen, she was asking her ladies in waiting, she was asking the people that were helping her maids, okay, like, how is the king? Like, is he nice? Is he friendly? Is he this? Is he that? Nobody would give her an answer. So she was just like, man, am I marrying a freaking, like, who the hell am I marrying? Like, the grumpy old troll that lives under the tree? Like, no Dora the Explorer. So she was over it. She was over it. They didn't even get married yet. It was a few hours before the wedding. She ends up sneaking away, wants to get the fuck up out of there. She was like, I'm gone. I want to climb up this wall. I'm climbing up this wall that the tree is stuck to. I'm getting the hell up out of here. So obviously that's where the preview comes in when I was talking about it. That's where George comes in. And, she doesn't know that it's George. Honestly, I don't know how he knew it was Charlotte. Because I'm like, unless you saw like a painting or a portrait of her, I don't know how you knew that that was her. But he knew that that was Charlotte, but she obviously didn't know that that was him. So, she's saying that she's trying to escape. She's trying to leave. She thinks that the king is a troll or a beast. And he's just playing along. He's just playing along. And Charlotte's just like, you need to help me. You need to help me get the fuck up out of here. And he was like, I'm not going to help you with shit. He was like, I'm not going to help you with nothing. And she was like, I'm in distress. And you don't want to help me to escape the palace from, help me escape from marrying a man that I don't even know that could be a monster. So he was like, I'm not going to help. Like, I'm paraphrasing. I'm not going to help my distressed bride from leaving my wedding. Are you serious? Like, be serious, Charlotte. So when she realized that that was George, she was, oh my God, she was so like embarrassed and everything. And then that's where, George started to get all flirtatious with her. And I was like, and I was gagging. This is the thing about me though. And this is why I feel like personally for me, these kind of stories are like, because it's these shows and so forth, this romantic stuff. It does bring out the romantic out of me, and it does bring up that, oh my God, like love exists, and love is love, and da 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 da. I believe in love. I love love. Like, it brings those kind of vibes out of me, and that's what Charlotte and George brought out of me. So I was like, oh my God, they're so cute. So, they were flirting. And, he kept telling her, call me George, whatever. And she kept mistaking. She kept saying, oh, Your Majesty. He was like, George. So, of course, he tells, Charlotte brother comes. He tells the brother, listen, it's going to be her choice. If she wants to walk down the aisle, let her decide, blah, blah, blah. So, he's already giving me progressive male tease. So he goes back. He said, I'm going to be waiting for you at the aisle, but, I hope to see you there. So she's already kind of feeling like, okay, like, this could be a good guy. Like, he's very friendly, very flirtatious, already kind of giving me the option or the choice to see if I really want to walk down the aisle. So I have good vibes about him. So she's like, okay, you know what? Let me go get ready. Let me go get my hair done. Let me go put on my dress. So she does that. She's walking down the aisle, and there's some part I was like, it looks like she's kind of getting cold feet. There's one scene I was like, girl, And I was in my mind, I was like, girl, do not run away from this. Do not do this, Charlotte. So she walks down the aisle. They do it. The whole scene was beautiful. The way it was shot, beautiful, beautiful. So we're fast forwarding, they're dancing, whatever. They get into the carriage. The king says, oh, um, I have a surprise for you and whatever. She was like, oh, what's the surprise? What's the surprise? And then George is like, oh, no, you have to wait. You have to wait. So he's like, okay, no problem. So then they get to Buckingham House, which is now called Buckingham Palace in real time. If y'all know, y'all know. So they get there and he tells Charlotte that she is going to live in Buckingham Palace or Buckingham House. And she was like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm going to live in, but this is our house. And he was like, no, this is your house. He was like, this is your house. So in my mind, I was like, wait a minute, what is happening here? Like, even for me, I was confused. I was like, huh? So I was like, oh, is this a joke? Like, maybe it's just like, he's just trying to say, like, this house belongs to you. You're my wife. I bought you a house. That's what I was thinking in my mind. But then as time went on, he was like, he was dead serious. He was like, no, you are going to live here and I'm going to live in Q. So I was like, and Charlotte was just like, George, are you serious? Like, what do you mean? Like, this is our wedding night. Like, we're supposed to be together. What do you mean you're going to Q? You're going to a different palace and I'm going to stay at this palace. So he was just like, it is what it is. You're going to have to obey my order. I'm the king. And y'all, when he said that, y'all need to go see it. Y'all need to go watch that scene for y'all to understand. As a matter of fact, go watch the episode. Go watch episode 1 for y'all to understand the 180 that Prince George did on Charlotte. Even me, I was shocked. And I barely get shocked at these shows nowadays or at these movies because they're so predictable. But I was shocked. Like, I was legitimately bamboozled and led astray and run amok and deceived by George. I did not expect this from him. I was like, and then Charlotte was just like, oh, so I thought, oh, so now you're the king. I got to obey your orders. Oh, I thought you were just George. Oh, okay, whatever. Okay, bye, your majesty. See you later, alligator. Hang it up, flat screen. So he feels bad, but then he ends up still leaving. He goes to the Q, and she stays at Buckingham House. And y'all, Charlotte stays at my sis was going through it. She was just like, she was not understanding. Even for me, I wasn't understanding as the viewer. And I think that many other viewers at that time that were watching the show could not understand either what was happening right now. Because it went from you being flirtatious, you liking her, you wanting her to come down the aisle and marry you, you doing a 180, you saying you telling her to stay at one palace, you go to the other. Y'all didn't consummate the marriage. It's like, and so she's at the palace with her queensman Brimsley right here behind her. And y'all, and I'm going to talk about the Brimsley and Reynolds in a second. So he basically is like, obviously he's the queensman, but he's also like a support system for Charlotte. But, there are times, I'm not going to lie to y'all, there are times where Charlotte was very rude and very unkind, I feel, to Brimsley. So, and I just felt like, Brimsley was just trying to do his job, and Charlotte was just, there's just a way of saying things, and I felt like at times she was just very rude. And I felt like clearly when she got older, I think that she became even worse when it came to talking to Brimsley. So that's a whole different conversation. So Charlotte was I don't know how long she was at Buckingham House without the king. I saw that maybe it was 2 days or something like that, but I don't know. To me, it seemed longer. Maybe like a week or something. I don't know. But I think I saw something where it was like 2 days. So she was there. She was getting changed. Mind you, she gets changed breakfast, lunch, and dinner to eat, by herself. No guests, no friends, no ladies in waiting. And they told her, and she asked for her ladies in waiting, but Brimsley was like, listen, you're in your honeymoon. You're at your honeymoon time. Like, you can't bring anybody to Buckingham House. So she was just lonely. She was lonely as hell. She was going through a lot. I think, I don't know if Lady Danbury came. I'm forgetting. I think she came before she went to Q, if I'm not mistaken. or I think she went to Q and then whatever. So she requested an audience with Lady Danbury, who is her lady in waiting. And, Brimsley and them were like, no, don't do that. You're still at your honeymoon. You can't be inviting people. But she was just like, listen, I'm lonely. Like, there's nothing going on right now. Like, I have no one to talk to. It's like, what is happening here? My husband is not here. I'm lonely. So Lady Danbury came and she was just like, hey, girl, what's going on? Da, 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 da. And Charlotte was just like, the marriage is, I forgot what she specifically said. So then I think Lady Danbury asked her, she was like, oh, Charlotte, like, did you do the deed? Like, did you consummate? Like, what's the deed? And I think Charlotte was actually silent, if I'm to remember. And then Lady Danbury was like, girl, if you do not consummate your marriage, it's like you're only married in name only. That's not like a real marriage. You have to do something. So she was showing, she ended up drawing Charlotte all these images about, how to have sex and how to do positions and so forth. And I was just like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. This is so like, and mind you, Charlotte is, I actually think, yeah, she's 17 years old. So it's like, it was just like, oh my God. So, she ends up going, and of course the queen, that's a whole different conversation. I'm gonna get to the queen in a second. So, Charlotte has like one more dinner. I think dinner or breakfast or whatever at Buckingham House. And then she tells Brimsley, she's like, you know what, Brimsley, we're going to Q. I'm going to my husband because this makes absolutely no sense what's happening here. So he was like, oh, don't go. You're not supposed to leave your honeymoon home and da da. And she was like, I'm going. I don't care. I don't care. So she goes. She goes. She gets there. Mind you, Reynolds, who's also the lover of Brimsley, is like, goes tells the king, listen, like, yo, your wife is here, the queen is here. And he's like, oh, how could you not tell me before? And she was like, it was unannounced, whatever. By the way, Reynolds, even though I appreciate his loyalty to the king and, as he should, but there are times where I felt maybe a little bit too loyal. like, especially when it's concerning the queen. Like, it's like, girl, like, the queen was going through it. But that's a whole different conversation. So, they tell him he's over there, playing around with the freaking Yo, Charlotte had me cackling. She was like, girl, are you serious right now? Like, what are you doing, George? And here's also my situation, right? Because, like, even for me, when I was, because I think it took like 2 episodes until she went to Q, and you can feel, and not to say like it was like a bad thing, but as like a viewer, you can feel how George was just like, it felt like a longing that he wasn't there. You can feel how like he has not been there in so long. He has not seen Charlotte in so, I felt it through like the first 2 episodes. I was like, damn, where is this man? And it came to a point where she went to go see him in Q and so forth. I was like, there were, and then on top of that, and there's no shade, but like when I saw, when Brimsley appeared and Charlotte came to Q, and Brimsley and Reynolds started to get it on, there was a part of me that felt like, is the king having, is there a thing with his sexuality? Like, is he bisexual? Is he gay? There were things, I was just thinking about all those things because I was not understanding why the king did not want to be home with his wife. So there was a part of me that felt like, maybe, he was gay or he was bisexual. But then there was a part of me that felt like maybe he's limp. Like there was something going on with his pee-pee that, y'all, I started thinking all kinds of things. And I didn't want to spoil myself because at first I was this close to going on YouTube to finding out what the hell is wrong with this man. Like I was like, y'all on YouTube, spoil it for me. Give me the compilation. I was like, no, I'm gonna continue. I need the slow burn. So I was just like, that's how urgent it was for me to understand what was happening with the king, because even he was driving me insane. No pun intended to what he was actually going through. But like, I felt like he was limp. That there was maybe his penis is broken. Then there was a part of me that felt like maybe is he intersect? Does he have both a vagina and a penis? And then I was thinking all kinds of things. I was like, why is this man? Why is this man not consummating his marriage? Why does he not want to be around his wife? And then it came to a point where I'm like, is he cheating on her? Is he, having sex with prostitutes and whores? What's the tea, King George? What is the tea? I was thinking all kinds of things in my mind. I didn't know what to think. And even Charlotte said the same thing. She was like, when she came to see George, and he was at that little, space mountain thing, and she was like, at least it will be a little bit more understanding if you were at a brothel. It would have hurt, but damn, at least I would have understood why you wanted to leave me so bad. But you left me for space. You're out here looking at Venus, looking at moons, looking at stars, and I've been at Buckingham House with my virtue, ready for you to come there and pop my cherry, and yet here you are looking at space. Oh, I was so mad for her. I was so mad for her. And George was like, listen, at the end of the day, it is what it is, And she was frustrated. Oh my God, Charlotte was so mad at him. But he was like, listen, just leave. And that right there, I was just like, okay, I'm not understanding this man. I was like, I'm not understanding this man. What is happening? What is happening? So she goes back to Buckingham House. He's like, whatever. So then, the queen, Lady Danbury, she got word that Lady Danbury was at Buckingham House with Charlotte, and she's like, listen, like, what did y'all talk about? Like, she's trying to get the information. Lady Danbury, at first I was like, is she a good person? Is she a bad person? You're kind of selling information, but then you're kind of not. You try to protect the relationship, but then you're kind of not. So, the queen is definitely dibbling and dabbling and trying to see what is happening. And I think, she definitely convinced her son to get the hell out of Q and go to freaking, like, what are you doing? Go to Buckingham House and go be with your wife. And, basically forcing him to do that because it's like, the queen is not an idiot. Like, she's probably most likely going to find out, about what's going on. So, Charlotte back at Buckingham House. I don't know how long it took for him to come to Buckingham House. So she's getting ready for her meal. I don't know, breakfast or lunch or dinner. I don't know which one it was. She comes, and then she sees George at the end of the table, and he's like, "Hey, hi, how are you?" He's like, "Let's have a meal." And then Charlotte was like, "What? Like, are you you leave me for how many amount of days? I go to Q. I tell you to like." But what do you mean? Let's have a meal. And she's like, no, like, get the hell out of my face. I'm not doing this with you, George. Please. So she tries to, walk away from him, and he's, yelling and screaming, don't walk away from me. Yeah. So, he starts saying, oh, I know you're not going to forgive me, but at least let me try to, make things up for you. Let me show you what I've been doing, blah, blah, blah. So he takes her back to Q, shows him Venus through the microscope, the big gold microscope, and, and she's like, I might not forgive you, but, I can try, blah, blah, blah. They start making out, and they finally consummate the marriage. I was so happy. I was like, okay, I think things, and then that's where, like, when they started consummate the marriage, I was just like, okay, maybe he's not intersect, maybe he's not, I'm sorry, y'all, I'm sorry. Maybe he's not intersex. Maybe there's nothing wrong with his PB. Clearly he's putting it in. He's going in. So I was like, okay. I was like, he doesn't have a limp. So Charlotte is happy. Next morning, she's happy. She's smiling. She's glowing. Okay, we haven't seen her glow this much since the wedding day. We were so happy for her. So she goes to find George because George was in that bed. She goes and then she gets near her room. I mean the one of the rooms that I guess the conference room where where I guess George and his mother are speaking, the queen mother is speaking, and George is super loud on top. But I'm like, but then it's like the more at first I was like really upset with George. I was like, man, this man is just. But then obviously over time, y'all know. For one that I already watched the series, y'all know. So he tells his mother, "Oh, at the end of the day, I'm married because of you. I was meant to bed her because of you, and at the end of the day, I have to complete my duties for the best or the worst of my nation." Blah 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 blah. And I'm paraphrasing. So Charlotte is hearing all this with Brimsley behind her. She's hearing how like basically he doesn't really have feelings for her. He's just doing his duties as a king, and basically just to for the UK or for Great Britain and making sure that things are aligned. But as of like emotionally or spiritually or just love wise, it's not there for him. So Charlotte is just like, you know what? Okay, I got you. So she was like, you know what? I'm gonna go have my breakfast and I'm gonna have it alone. So that was that. So then, now, listen, this video might be long, but you know what? It is what it is. This is gonna be a long video. If y'all gonna be here, y'all gonna be here. If y'all not, y'all not. Yeah, make sure y'all subscribe to the channel. Okay, let's get up to 900 subscribers. The goal is to get up to 1,000. Thank y'all so much for continuing to listen to this video because this video is crazy, and it's gonna be very long. But it is what it is. Charlotte. So next episode, I guess now I guess they had an arrangement set up. Charlotte and George. She was just like, you know what? We're gonna be husband and wife in name only, king and queen in name only. But as of right now, you do your thing, I do mine. But like, we do have to produce an heir. And when I tell you, what was it? I think the episode was called Even Days. So Charlotte and George are gonna bang each other on even days, and then on odd days they're gonna sleep separately. And when I tell you, child, this episode I was just like, oh my goodness, these two. They were banging each other from sea to shining sea. Y'all hear me, okay? Charlotte and George were going in on their even days, honey, okay? And I was like, clearly, honestly, I know the last episode kind of confirmed it for me, but the even days episode really confirmed it for me. I'm like, you know what, George, you're definitely not limp. Okay? You're not limp. It's strong, it's hard, it's long, and it's big. I can tell. I can tell. I was like, girl, do what you have to do, Charlotte. Do what you have to do. However, that dinner, sex scene was a little bit too much. There should have been. I should have had a little bit more self control. But everything else for that episode, I was here for it. I was here for it. I was just like, okay. I love it. And towards the end of that episode, Charlotte, after they had another banging session, Charlotte is just like, oh, before that, Charlotte, kind of gets like a clue that, why does George keep going to the doctor? Apparently he has a doctor at the cellar of the house. So he was like, oh, just, I'm supposed to always have a doctor. I'm a king. She was like, well, I am the queen and I'm supposed to be producing an heir and getting pregnant. I should be seeing the doctor more than you, but you be seeing the doctor here and there. So like, are you well? Like, what's going on? And he was just basically telling her like, don't worry about it. Like, just whatever. So then, fast forward to their banging session again. She basically tells George, listen, like, I know, you feel like you're doing this for the best or the worst of your nation and blah, 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 blah. But, just know that I'm here for you. Like, just on like a human basis. Like, I understand, like, you feel like you have responsibility. You have responsibility. You're the king and so forth. But at the end of the day, I will be here for you, basically. And you can tell that he definitely loved the fact that she told him that, and basically, I guess, starting over in a way, which was really nice to see. It was nice to witness just as a viewer, and them not just sort of like lusting after each other, but also having conversation, because it's good to have those. So I was happy to see that. But so George, I think it was that episode, if I'm not mistaken, the even days episode, where he went through, I don't know, he was just like, I don't know if he was having a headache or something, and then his Kingsman Reynolds comes in. Oh, sorry, y'all. And basically tells him, to get the doctor. And, you can clearly see like there's something going on with him. And we still don't know. Even for me, I was just like, I still don't know what is happening. And, Charlotte and him, they're getting along. They're getting along. They have another banging session. And then, um, I believe it's the same episode where she's looking for, so it was at night, and Charlotte wakes up to a noise in the room, and it's George. And George is making the like, I guess, talking to himself and drawing on the wall, talking about Venus and Farmer George and all these different things. And I was just like, what is happening here? Like, I don't understand. So this man, George is basically like talking to himself and having, I guess they call it fits, or I don't know, like, I don't know if you want to call it tics. I don't know if that's like Tourette syndrome or something, but like, he was going through, he was having some kind of mental issue. And then that's where it kind of started to click with me. Like, I'm like, oh, okay. So he went through, after when I got confirmation that it's a mental issue that he was hiding from Charlotte, that's when I went to go do my research, because I didn't want to get any spoilers. Listen, I don't know. I don't research the royal family like that. So I didn't care. But I went to go research to see, did King George, have the third have mental issues. And apparently he did. He had some form of mental issue, but they still don't particularly know what he had. Some people are saying bipolar, other people are saying schizophrenia. So I'm not sure what he had or what it would be classified now in 2024, but he definitely has something, especially when he was like talking to himself and doing all those different things. So it was a little bit jarring to see in the way he was acting. And this is where let's talk about Mama. Because she, obviously they knew the situation. She, I really really enjoyed episode 4, and I think that if anybody is going to watch this series, y'all are gonna really 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 appreciate episode 4. Episode 4 really gave a lot of context. It gave a lot of vulnerability and just backstory, and it answered a lot of questions that us as like the viewer had for the situation, because there was just some things that we just did not. And this is how you can tell, like, this is great writing. Like, Shonda Rhimes, the writers for the Queen Charlotte, this was great writing. The way they were able to sort of like keep us in this sort of like maze runner kind of thing, and like trying to understand the king and why is he acting the way that he does, and we're just not understanding, like, none of us were understanding what was happening with his dynamic with the queen. I was here for everything. Like, I was just here for the sense of urgency and trying to find the missing piece to this puzzle. And, Queen Charlotte confronts the Queen Mother or the princess of whatever. And she was like, y'all arranged this marriage. Y'all did this marriage. Y'all got me here. Y'all could have at least told me that this man had some form of mental issues, you know? And and then basically the queen was just like, oh, well, the wife is supposed to be the one to handle the rough edges and, of her husband or of her king, that's your job and blah, 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 blah. I did my best with him. I got the doctors. I got all these different people to work on him, whatever. And, Charlotte is pissed, and rightfully so. It's like, and don't get me wrong. I think that would it have influenced would it have influenced Charlotte's decision to marry George if she had known that he had mental issues? Yes. And we're talking about like from the beginning, like, because she didn't know him. It definitely would have influenced. But I think that, Charlotte is also not a bad person. And she would have definitely seen the humane side of the situation. And yes, it does look bad. It looks bad from like a political standpoint. To have a king that is not on his right mind at certain times of his life, it's bad. But, they lied to her. The king lied, even though he has mental health issues. But the queen, clearly, King George's mom lied, the queen mother. The king lied. I mean, we can't blame, but then again, Queen Charlotte's brother should have done more of his research, did deeper research on King George. But like, he arranged the marriage, but I don't think that he would have made his sister marry a king that's having issues with his mind. So, they lied to her, and she has the right to be angry. But the scene where where Charlotte and her mother-in-law were going at it, it was like, whew. And then George was hearing it from the other door, and that's where he goes, and he tells the doctor, listen, like, do whatever it is you got to do to fix me. Like, you need to fix me. And this is where like episode 4. I not even want to like really give the spoilers for it because I want y'all to go watch it, but like, in this episode 2, like, it kind of low-key made me very emotional because it was just like to see like all like the BS that George had to do and putting himself through in order to have some kind of cure or to control the fits and wanting to be with Charlotte. It's just, y'all need to go watch that for y'all to, because the way I explain it will not do it justice. Y'all need to go watch that episode. It's episode 4. It was really heart-wrenching and beautiful and vulnerable, and it was great writing. It was great writing on their ends. But and I will say this though, on episode 4 is where they reveal that Charlotte is pregnant. And George tries to, but George goes to the doctor and tells the doctor, like, unless I'm cured completely, you will not let me out. So Charlotte is basically back at Buckingham House, alone yet again, pregnant. Charlotte was going through a mental breakdown. I actually think she was damn near a mental breakdown. Like, she was lonely. She was vulnerable. And the queen, and on top of it, the queen was not making shit that's the thing about the queen. Like, it's just like, girl, shut up. She was just like, oh, you already did the hard part now. You already got pregnant. So, the hard part is done. Now you have your baby. You don't have to worry about anything else. This whole thing about your husband, like, don't worry about it. Now you have your son. And I was just like, Queen Mother, this is why, your son don't like you. This is why this is why he don't like you. But, she was really going through it. And Brimsley, rightfully so, was pissed off for Charlotte. he was telling, Charlotte was sending all kinds of letters to George, saying, listen, basically trying to write to him, trying to reach out, but they would never hand him the letters. Then, Charlotte wrote a last letter, but this time the letter was to her brother because she wrote to her brother saying that she wants to go back to Germany. Brimsley, and Brimsley was at his wits' end. He was pissed the hell off. He told Reynolds, like, the Queen has written a letter now, not to George, but to her brother in Germany, to ask him to take her home. And then Reynolds was gonna be like, this part, I'm not gonna lie, had me cackling. But like Reynolds was like, oh, and then Bernstein was like, what do you mean? Oh, like when he was like, oh, what the, come on, like let her see her husband. And then Reynolds being, maybe loyal to a point of disaster was just like, oh, that can't happen. The king needs to be the king. Even though Reynolds had an issue with the doctor and the way that he was treating George and his methods was horrendous and horrible. Reynolds was just like, listen, no, like at the end of the day, it can't happen. It can't happen. Brimsley was pissed off. He was pissed off for her. Brimsley is really loyal. He's really loyal, and Brimsley doesn't get enough credit. And even from Charlotte's end, he doesn't get enough credit for what he has done for her and the love that he has for her. So, but it was crazy. It's okay. I don't know if I should continue on because, like I said, this is a long video. But just to quickly fast forward through the thing, oh God, I do have to talk about this scene before I let go on y'all, because I do want y'all guys to go watch this series. I think it's the next episode. I think it's episode 5 episode 5. Where, Charlotte basically goes and freaking gets George out of that hellhole. Like she was just like, listen, you're being fucked up in here. Like get, and she tells them to go take this doctor to the dungeon, get my husband out of here. Like, absolutely not. I'm done with this. So she takes him back to Buckingham House. Buckingham House are cute. I think I don't know. I forgot which one. And, he's there, she comes to him, pregnant and all, tummy sticking out. And he's like, and then George is like, oh, you need to go, you need to leave. If you need me to, like, I guess, basically what he was saying, if you need me to divorce you, I'll grant you your wish and all these different things. And then she was just like, oh, you, at first I thought that, you were avoiding me because, you didn't care about me. And like, I thought that I was like the plague and you would just, I felt like there was something wrong with me because you kept just leaving at days at a time. But now I realized the reason why you want to stay away from me is because you care for me. And she was like, I love you. And I will be here for you and all these different things. And he was like, listen, and he was trying his darnest to get Charlotte out of the room. He was like, Charlotte, I command you to leave this room. And she was like, no. Okay, like a child, like no, I'm not leaving. She's like, I'll be here. I'm gonna stand by you. I'm gonna be, just. And then, oh my God, George starts breaking down on me, and I loved that scene. And he was like, I'm a madman. Like, my head, I'm not right. I'm not right. The screws aren't tight enough in this brain. And she was like, she doesn't care. She's going to be here for him. She's going to support him. And she was like, do you love me? Do you love me? Do you love me? And he was like, yes, I love you. He was like, from the moment I laid eyes on you, my heart calls your name. I was, listen, y'all be making me fall for those novel romance lines, okay? Okay, they got me with that, and I kept repeating that scene back where he told her that he loved her. Like, I kept repeating the scene back. I was like, ugh. It was making my heart melt. It was making my heart melt. I love the scene. This show is beautiful. There's still more to discuss, but I think I'm gonna end it here because it was a lot to discuss. But I wanted to get hit some main points. But like I said before, this, for me personally, I feel more connected, more sense of urgency, more like, oh, they got me with Charlotte and George. If I'm just gonna keep it a stack, I didn't really feel too much that way about Kate and Anthony. I didn't feel too much about that with Penelope and Colin. But with these two, it's just, I felt like it was way deeper. I don't know, like it felt. And don't get me wrong, all of them did have their, but this was a different kind of passion here. I feel like y'all people aren't really getting into like this was passion, this was like love and affection, lust, and also acceptance. You know, like this was like the true definition of like, I'm gonna be there for you in sickness and in health, and I think that's what really got me with what was happening. George was, and it's like, and now like I'm not even like angry, like I'm not even angry that he lied about, didn't tell her about the illness. I feel so bad for him, and I feel so bad for Charlotte, and I'm just like, I want them to work this out. Like, I want them to be together. I just, I mean, I don't want them to be unhappy, and to see, especially the ending of it, I was happy. I was very satisfied. And I think y'all, as the viewers, will be very satisfied with it. But yeah, I binged the hell out of the series last night, on Sunday night. I just finished the last episode today. Very pleased. I'm gonna go watch it again. I'm gonna go watch my favorite scenes again. But I was definitely, and unfortunately, I think it's just a prequel. I want them to have a second season. I want them to have a second season. I think that the show, personally for me, I'm more drawn to the Queen Charlotte story, especially when they're young. Like I didn't really care too much when she was older, and they kept flashing forward back to the Queen Charlotte today. But like I did like that last scene, though, I would say, in the last episode of Queen Charlotte and George. But I want them to give me a season two. This was the acting was on point. Shout out to the actors and actresses. They did a really great job. Especially these two. They deserve their flowers. I loved it. I loved the series. I'm sad that it was only 6 episodes, but it kept me on my toes. It kept me watching, and it kept me binging. We need a petition to have a season two of this show. That's what I'm saying. Anyway, y'all, I know this video was long, but please tell me what you guys think in the comment section below. Did you guys watch the Queen Charlotte series? Tell me what you guys think. I love y'all so much. Make sure y'all subscribe to the channel. Let's get up to 1,000 subscribers. And I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.